Hey everyone, welcome to episode 3 of This is Womanhood. My name's Gina Torres, for anyone who doesn't know me. And today I am chatting to Jessica Lewis, who is an amazing woman. We talk about her journey from being a model into being a professional fighter, which is just crazy, the things that she's experienced. She's lived so many different sections to her life, and it was really interesting to chat to her. She's now a mother as well to a beautiful little girl called Namaya. And so we talk about her journey to motherhood and attachment parenting and just the way she navigates her way through life, really. And she's now studying shamanism and working with the medicine wheel, which she talks about, and we talk about how that's benefited her life and how she now prioritizes self-development because she's a mother, and so that's become her priority to become the best version of herself that she can be, really, which I suppose a lot of women can relate to, myself included, because that's the way I feel having a little boy myself. So I hope you enjoy the podcast, and if you do, then like, subscribe, etc. and I will put all Jess's details in the notes. Enjoy! So hi Jess, welcome to the This is Womanhood podcast. Thank you for doing it with me. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me here.
So, kind of just want to start by asking you about your background. I feel like just before we started recording and we were talking about so much, and I feel like even in just that short time I got to know you so much better. Like, I feel like you've had such a crazy life with so many different stories, and so just I want to jump into that and kind of find out a little bit more about your background and where you've come from and how you've ended up where you are now. I know you've run lots of healing events and you are an amazing mother. Like, there's just so much to talk about, so I kind of don't really know where to start, but we'll sort of start at the beginning. So where you, like, your background really?
Well, my background, so I started off doing modelling for years, and then I also used to do like a lot of ring card girl work as well. And I remember being at a fight years ago, and I got talking to somebody there who was involved in the night, and they were basically telling me that they were raising money for a children's home. And they were telling me about this children's home, and I was like, wow, because they were saying that this home was a permanent children's home. So I was like, what? The kids never get foster adopted? And they were like, no, they don't, because they've been so badly abused, they don't trust people. So I was like, this is horrible. And I sort of torturing myself with it, really thinking, I bet these kids have never had a holiday. I bet they don't know what it's like to be excited on Christmas Eve before Christmas. You know, just little things that you take for granted. So I decided that I wanted to raise some money for them to send them on holiday. But I didn't like running, and well, to be fair, I'd never really exercised for 16 years, so I didn't really know what I was going to do. And then all of a sudden I had this light bulb moment, and I was like, I'm going to have a fight. So I decided to learn boxing, because I didn't know, and train for a fight. So I did that. So this set me off on a whole different path.
So how old were you at this time?
So I was 29 at the time, turning 30. So,
and you've been modelling up to that point?
Since I was like 18, 17, something like that. Right. And so yes, it was a bit of a different direction to go, but I was hooked on it. I felt so empowered.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I felt really like I'd connected with my body in a different level. Like, I was seeing my body change, you know, like getting loads of tone and definition. So I was like, yeah, this is great. Like, I felt like it had given me a lot that I didn't have before. A lot of discipline, a lot of motivation. Because at the time I was still, before I found boxing, I was still like going out partying, getting on it and all of that sort of unhealthy stuff.
Were you living in Newcastle at the time?
No, this was when I was in London.
Oh, you already moved to London.
Yeah, I'd already moved there by then. But so it took me down this whole road of training and this whole other world.
And you've never exercised before?
Not since I left school.
Right, yeah.
Like, I used to be one of these that used to join the gym in January and then go twice.
Yeah.
That would be it.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, so I got hooked on that, man. I got hooked.
Yeah. And so then, did you finish the modelling there and then just like pursue?
No, I still did it
professionally. Oh, okay.
But I remember getting a black eye in training, and I was supposed to go to Sri Lanka for a shoot.
Oh, God.
And it was a lot of money. And I had to tell my agent, because I had an eye out here, that I couldn't go, so they weren't happy about that. So there was a few little things, like, you know, where they sort of like clashed, the modelling and the boxing.
It's crazy.
So yeah, it got me, so the fighting brought a lot of good things into my life, because it got me out of the partying and got me onto the straight and narrow. So this was now like 4 or 5 years in, and I was now sponsored, doing cage as well as the boxing, and taking it really, really seriously.
So how often did you train when you were doing that?
Twice a day. But I'd do like double sessions, so I'd go in the morning, I'd train jiu-jitsu, and then I'd do another class, sort of back to back, and then I would come back in the evening and do the two classes. But it was hardcore. I mean, like, we got beasted. We got absolutely beasted in the classes.
Oh my God.
If you were late, right, you used to have to do 50 burpees before you even step onto the mat. And I'm a late kind of person. I'm always like 5-10 minutes late. I was like bashing out the burpees before it even started. It was horrific. It was good.
And then did you find, like, because I know you said like it started getting you toned up and stuff, so did that help with your modelling? Like physically?
No, I mean, it didn't really help me get any of the work. I mean, I was still doing the same amount of work and stuff like that, but I was starting to do more fitnessy type stuff. So it did change that a little bit, but I felt really good. I mean, I felt like I was in better shape at 30 than I had been in my whole life.
Yeah.
You know? And it's funny because when I was thinking about 30, when I was like 25, 26, I used to put 30 in this bracket of scariness, of like, that 30 means your life is over.
Yeah, it's
and you're going to get loads of wrinkles. Like, it's going to happen overnight. Do you know what I mean? But in reality, when I hit 30, it was amazing. Like, I knew myself more. Like, I knew the direction I wanted to be in. You know, I was happy with myself. I felt like I looked good, and I was confident, and it was really good. Like, I really enjoyed being in my 30s, to be quite honest. Yeah. And I'm approaching 40. I'm 40 next year.
Oh, are you?
Yeah, I'm 40 next year.
Do you not look 40?
So, but bring it on. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I'm not sat there dreading it like I was when I was approaching 30. Because you realise your life doesn't end at these ages. It begins.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean?
Definitely, 100%. So how did you feel about yourself, like, throughout your 20s? And I say you kind of stepped into your confidence when you were 30. Were you confident all the way through? Were you confident throughout your 20s? Did you? Yeah.
I completely faked it, which actually is something that I've had to deal with in recent years, because the whole time I was modelling, I created another character. So I went under a different name. In the same name I went under for the fighting. I stuck to the same name. So I created this character because when I first got into modelling, I wasn't a confident person. Not at all. I actually thought I felt like a bit of a fraud, because I was like, why am I even doing this? Do you know what I mean? Like,
how old were you when you got into modelling?
I was young. I was really, really young. I started photographic stuff when I was like 21, but I was doing hair modelling and competitions and stuff before that in the Northwest, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I used to live in St Helens, so I was doing a lot of competitions for the.
Literally where I was from.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
oh my gosh. Never knew.
Yeah.
Yeah, I lived there for years.
Oh, did you?
And so I started doing the hair modelling and then progressed into photographic. But I remember thinking, I really haven't got the confidence. I remember thinking, I'm really scared. Like, I really feel weird about doing the poses, and I feel weird about doing the expressions and things like that. So then I just had this voice in my head saying, just pretend you're confident, like, do you know what I mean? Just pretend you're confident. And that done me for 20 years. It's got me through. But when I came back to being Jess again, I realised I didn't know who I was.
Right.
I did not have the confidence that I thought I had. So I had to work on these things. So it was really an interesting process, because here was me thinking that I'd solved this issue, and actually I hadn't. I just masked over the problem, and I wasn't a confident person. I was as Monica, but not necessarily as Jess. So, I mean, that might sound weird, but so I had a lot of work to do there when I really come out of the modelling scene and the fighting scene and stuff, and realise that I'm back to being Jess again, and I'm still there with all the issues that I had before. They didn't go away. They were there again. It was like the same issues that I had when I come up with this brilliant idea of faking it, just be confident. But there I was, sat with all the same issues that I had before, so I had to work on it then. You never escape these things. There's no cheating this stuff. It always comes back around.
Yeah, definitely. So what made you leave the modelling and then the fighting industry as well?
So what happened was, so I didn't ever intend to leave modelling or fighting. this was me, do you know what I mean? I was going to do it. I was going to do it until I couldn't. And then what happened was, so throughout the whole time I was fighting, I would get like stiff shoulders, stiff neck and things like that. And I put it down to trapped nerve. And then one day, my fingers went dead. And I was getting a lot of pins and needles and pain and stuff like this, and it never went away. So every single day for 10 months straight. And by the way, the whole time I'm ahead, I'm like, when this stops, I'm going to go back. Like, I'm going back to training. It was like, as soon as this has stopped, I am back to training. And then I found out that I've got arthritis in the spine of my neck. So when I got the diagnosis, they said that this is the type of I want to say injury, but it wasn't really an injury. It was just something that wasn't an injury that caused it. This was something that developed in me, right? But they said that they hadn't seen, or it was very rare to see, on someone who was in their early 30s, this sort of damage, this sort of wear and tear they would normally expect to see on somebody in their 70s. So they were like, what have you been doing? And I was like, well, a lot of things. So then I realised that I was never going to train again. I was never going to fight again. So I had a grieving process over that because I loved it. Gina, I absolutely loved it. I loved everything fighting gave me, the discipline, the willpower, the health, the respect, do you know what I mean, for myself, for my opponents and things like that. And all of a sudden, overnight, it was taken away and I was absolutely devastated, and it took a lot to overcome this gap that I had in my life from all this training that I was doing. So, but simultaneously to this, so this was in the March 2014 when I had this diagnosis. Now, in the 2012, the end of 2012, I started on my plant medicine journey.
Oh, okay.
So the end of 2012, I drank ayahuasca.
And what led you to do that?
What led me to do that was I'd heard about it, and something in my heart was like, I want that, like, so badly. Like, I really know that this is something that's going to be really amazing for me. And I was so curious and all of this stuff. So,
and were you kind of, sorry to interrupt, but you kind of on a spiritual path already at that point?
No, like I'd done iboga, which is another plant medicine. I'd done iboga at the beginning of 2011, right? But even then I wasn't really on a spiritual path. I'd moved into a house with all these people who were on a spiritual path and positivity and veganism and all of this. So they sort of opened my eyes to iboga, and then I did that a few times, but still I wasn't really meditating.
And just for anyone who's listening who doesn't know what that is, can you just explain what
it's an African plant medicine. So it basically teaches you how to live. Ayahuasca teaches you about the afterlife, but also teaches you how to live. But iboga is predominantly about your life and your traumas. So it helps you overcome traumas that are really sabotaging your life. Right. So what it does is it will help you retain the memory, but it takes away the pain of what's happened. Right. So I went because I had insomnia, and I didn't know why I had insomnia, but there was actually a trigger for it. So the iboga showed me that. But a lot of people are scared of it because it can be quite brutal. Like, it doesn't mess about, and there's none of this like, oh, you know what, I don't want to deal with this right now. We'll come back to it another time. No, you've got it confronts. You're confronting stuff that you don't want to confront. So a lot of people are a bit scared of it, but actually it's an amazing healer. It's an amazing teacher, and it helped me so much. It took away my insomnia, and it opened my eyes to the possibility of plant medicines. Right. So to the end of so this is the beginning of 2011. Now we're at the end of 2012, and I've done ayahuasca for the first time.
Where did you do that?
In this country, but I don't want to say any more than that because it's a bit illegal. So like, so I so that opened my eyes even more, because I was like, wow, like, what the hell just happened to me? Do you know what I mean? Like, but I feel great, like, amazing. So then I went again in the March, and then that really helped me because so I went through this whole. Because I'd been going through my whole shoulder pain and stuff like that, I hadn't really been training very much. So I had a fight coming up in 2 weeks after the ceremony, and the medicine showed me like just like mad ways to transfer energy when you're like fighting. Just like all of this stuff, it went deep, right? But as well, it really prepared me for a massive tragedy that was about to unfold. So basically, I was seeing a guy, and he had a fight coming up 2 2 weeks before mine. So his fight was like 2 weeks after the ceremony, and then mine was 2 weeks after that. And he was as fit as a lark. Like, he used to go for like 10-mile runs just for the crack. And so, cut long story short, during his fight, he actually suffered a bleed on the brain. And he went down in the fight, and he never regained consciousness. He died 6 days before my fight. So I think if I hadn't have done that ceremony before, like, I don't know how it would have affected me, but I mean, it was horrible. It was like literally that week of my fight was the worst week of my life, because I had all of this stuff going on, this whole grieving process. I had press trying to like get me to do interviews. I was getting hounded basically, and it was a really, really hard week, and I didn't want to do the fight as well. I just hated boxing. Then I was just like, you know what? I don't want to do this anymore. That's me done with boxing. And so I went and won my fight for him, and then that was it. I never put on gloves again, and I couldn't even look at boxing. I've only just started now, like maybe like watching a few fights and stuff. But I thought, you know what, I'm sticking to a cage, which people might find even more brutal, but it's safer actually, because you do a lot more grappling, so you're getting punched in the head less. So
what's the difference between? That sounds like a stupid question, but I literally have no idea.
So it's a mixture of martial arts. So you could have you could train in many different martial arts or fighting styles, and then use that in the fight. So you don't have to just stick to one thing. So you might have somebody who's they've got Thai, boxing, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Krav Maga, which actually you're not allowed to use. You're not allowed to use Krav Maga in MMA, but any different fighting styles that can be put together. Right. So it's really interesting, and it's good fun. It's a lot of good fun. So I thought I'll stick to that. But then that obviously wasn't meant to be my path either, because then I got the arthritis diagnosis, and I was like, right, that's it.
Right, okay.
But a couple of months prior to that, I'd started gathering of minds. So I had this massive ayahuasca experience where I was told to bring people together to share knowledge and information, help them on the journeys, to meet other like-minded souls. People are feeling lonely. A lot of people are waking up and their friends aren't. So they need like other people to meet and other people to socialise with, and events to go through too. So I started gathering of minds. So even though like the fighting had come to a standstill, actually rising up through the ashes of it all was something amazing. It's something that was really going to change my life and get me on another new path, which was gathering of minds. So that was basically my fight career done. Wow. On to the next phase.
And it was kind of ayahuasca that kind of
really helped me.
Yeah,
because I was like always thinking like, because I'd got over the whole 30 thing, but it was in the back of my mind, right? I'm approaching the age where I really, realistically, I'm not going to be modelling for much longer, right? But what am I going to do instead? What am I going to do? And so it was always there in the back of my mind, and then this amazing project just came through, came to the surface.
So then, tell us a little bit more about Gathering of Minds, kind of where that started and what the journey's been with that.
Well, I started in my mate's flat. There was 15 of us, and I didn't really know what I was doing. I was kind of just going with the flow, because I wasn't even, up until that point, I wasn't meditating or anything.
And again, that was kind of like this ayahuasca experience was what started you more on that spiritual path.
Yeah, this put me on the spiritual path. Right. So it was a creative spiritual event that put me on the spiritual path. Okay. But I didn't know like what I was doing. Like it just was like just going with the flow. And so it started with my friend's flat, and it was people that really were going through a tough time versus people who would overcome tough time, sharing stories, and it was really lovely. And I give people hope, and I thought, yeah, like this is what I need to do. So then I developed the concept a bit more and made it into a live event with speakers and yoga and sound and stuff like that. So now it's expanded. It's gone from being so for the first live event, I think we had about 70 people, but now it's like up to 200 come. Which is really amazing, and I've met a lot of people myself that I know that I'm going to be friends with for life. You know what I mean? Like I've really met some amazing souls, so I'm so blessed with it. And also, so now going back into the arthritis diagnosis. So I started the Gathering of Minds in 2013. So I got the arthritis diagnosis in the March of 2014. I didn't know, but I had 1/3 of the cure sat in my flat the whole time for my arthritis that had been given at an event of one of the speakers. Wow. I got given a bottle of magnesium oil. So he told me to do 3 things. He told me to take MSM, magnesium oil and vitamin C, and I had the magnesium oil. My friend Clive called him to come and give a tour. And honest to God, I thought, I can't believe this. That's like, That's amazing.
Oh, he came and
he gave a talk before I even knew I had arthritis, and he was telling people like about all of this amazing stuff to heal all these different things, right? So he'd given me a bottle of magnesium oil, just given me it, and then when I found out about the arthritis, of course I used it, and it was amazing. It really, 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 really helped me turn my whole diagnosis around.
So when you got that diagnosis, what were the steps after that? Because I know before we started recording, you were talking about that and about the fact that from a sort of allopathic standpoint, like the doctors, they just gave you medicine, and what did they recommend versus what you actually did?
They painted a really grim picture. I'm not gonna lie, it was very grim. The picture that they painted me. They said that I was going to need steroid injections every 2 months for the rest of my life. Now, the problem with steroids is they make people balloon in weight. They make people put weight on very, very quickly, in a lot of it. So I knew this, right? So I was like, no way am I going to take that. And then they were like, and you're going to need this operation. And by the way, it's only going to last 10 years. You're going to have this done every 10 years. And they said, if it works, you'll have to have it done every 10 years. So they wanted to take out. So it was my C6 and C7 discs that I'd ground down. So they'd ground down so far that the vertebrae were starting to touch. They were starting to fuse together, which would have meant that I wouldn't have been able to turn my head.
Right, yeah.
I would have been stiff and like going like, it would have started to sort of heal this way, to go this way, to form that way. So they basically wanted to do this operation where they were going to take out my vertebrae, chuck the discs away, what were remaining of them, chuck them away, and then make out of my hip bone 2 more discs, and then slot it all back together. But the fact that my spinal cord was going to be exposed throughout the whole of this process was just like a big no-no for me. Yeah. And then by sheer chance, so this was in the March, by sheer chance in the June, I ended up at this, I was doing a bit of promo work at the time. I mean, I couldn't work much at this point because I was like in bedbound most days. I couldn't get out of bed, I couldn't turn my head. I was in chronic pain right round the clock every single day of the week, right? There wasn't a minute that went by that I didn't have pain. But sometimes it was worse. No, I wasn't touching nothing, right? So I was just dealing with it. But out of sheer coincidence, I ended up getting a promo job at this doctors' congress. So it was like doctors and surgeons coming to listen to lectures to train themselves up on the latest whatever's, right? And I just happened to be put in the osteoarthritic section.
Funny isn't how the universe works.
I was like, oh God, like this is amazing, right? So I just remember after day 1 being like, yeah, you was on not getting near me. After day 1. By day 5, I was like literally so shocked by what I was hearing. The last lecture of the day was my worst patient, and it was like all these surgeons that had basically mucked up people's bodies. Like, so it was like old people that had these similar conditions to me, right? There was one woman who had cervical spondylosis, which is what I was diagnosed with, and they'd done an operation, the operation they wanted to do on me, messed it up, right? Then tried to do more operations on top of more operations on top of more operations, just putting more and more metal in her, like, you can imagine, right? And so this was like a series of doctors and surgeons presenting their worst patient, right? As in, they'd messed them up and they didn't know what to do anymore. So they were like, it was like asking an audience. They were like asking an audience. They were like presenting the slideshow and then asking the audience, does anybody have any suggestions? I was like, no way, is this what goes down, right? So I was like, they're just like, they don't have a clue. They just ask, like, anyone's just shouting out suggestions. Oh, have you tried this? And have you tried that? And I was just like, yeah, you was all getting nowhere near me after this. Like, even if there was like a slither of like, I might do this operation, there was none. Like, it was just like, this is not happening. This is definitely not happening. So then I was like, right, well, the only other way around it is to go down the natural route. So I spoke to Carl, and he was like, listen, he was like, you need to take this, this, and this. So after week 1, I remember just being able to turn my head. I'd never been able to turn my head for months.
So what were you taking?
So I took MSM. Magnesium oil, and high food grade vitamin C. Right. But by the way, all organic and pure, not from Holland and Barrett or whatever it is, with all the bulking agents and things like that. Right? They're not good for you. So within 2 weeks, I was completely pain free. I didn't have any sensations. I couldn't quite believe it, because this was like, bearing in mind, right, I've been like this every single day for 10 months. And it was on and off even before that, right? So it was like on and off. since this, right, I've had a baby. I've spent 3 years breastfeeding her. And so, you know, I know that, like, it's the issue, like, I don't know what's happening inside because I can't see what's happening with my discs, but I know I don't have symptoms anymore. I don't have pins and needles. I don't have the sharp stabbing pains in my neck. I don't have, you know, I can't, the fact that I couldn't sleep, I couldn't get comfortable because I couldn't lie down. Any direction I would lie would hurt. So none of that anymore.
That's amazing.
Absolutely amazing. I'm so thankful. I'm so thankful, because it would have been a different story, I think, if I'd have gone down the normal traditional medicine route. You know, no one that takes arthritic medication gets better. Who do you know that takes medicine for arthritis and gets better? You don't get better. You get worse, because I tell you why you get worse. Because there's something inside of medications that they give to people with arthritis that have a compound in that blocks sulfur. Now, the reason that people get... So, listen, arthritis isn't even a thing. Arthritis is a symptom of a sulfur and magnesium deficiency. That's what it is. So as soon as you start correcting that deficiency, then the symptoms stop. But it's like doctors are only trained to look at as far as the symptom. They don't go past that. They don't go, right, what's causing that? They stop the symptom and they give a medicine for it. Which might work for some things, but it's only masking the symptoms. So a lot of these medicines then cause like other issues. So you might have a side effect. My friend, she's got epilepsy. She takes 1 tablet for epilepsy and 11 other ones to manage the symptoms of the other tablets. So she gets like a anti-sickness tablet and manage the symptom of the epilepsy tablet, and then that'll cause a thing. So she's got 11 tablets to take every day.
Oh my goodness.
I know. Yeah.
And it's just getting you on tablets for the rest of your life. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So I'm a massive advocate for just like taking your health into your own hands. Do you know what I mean? Just taking your health into your own hands.
Yeah. And then kind of sort of jumping topics a little bit, but I know you just mentioned obviously you're a mother. So what's that journey been like for you? So
it's been amazing.
How old's Namaya now?
She's just turned 3.
She's turned 3, right?
She turned 3 in December. It's been amazing. Like it showed me like it's been almost like one big long ayahuasca ceremony in a way, because like
I totally agree.
It's like
Motherhood.
You get challenged, like all your issues come up, like, you know what I mean? It's hard, like, at times, but then it's amazing. It's amazing. Overall, it's amazing, right? Just as a rule, it is, like, amazing being a parent. There's so much love and joy and all of that sort of thing, but it's very challenging. So it's great for growth. Do you know what I mean? Like, and she's my teacher as much as I'm hers.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
she is... Maya has been, like, my biggest teacher so far, honestly. Definitely. And I feel like since she's come along, like working on personal development stuff is like actually more important now, because I want to overcome any issues that I have. I want to be the best I can be, do you know what I mean, for her. So in the last 3 years, I've gone through challenges. I've gone through really tough challenges, a breakup, you know, trying to rectify that into where we settle into a nice pattern still, do you know what I mean, like where we can still be friends, which we've managed now, so that's good. So there's been a lot of stuff like that going on, you know. It's all been about personal development so that I can be the best I can be for her, because I fully believe in the attachment theory as well, like attachment parenting and stuff like that. And part of that is, you know, managing your emotions and things like that. But like, you know, it's hard being a parent. There's times where you do get your buttons pressed, and I don't care. Everyone shouts at the kids from time to time. Everybody just has a moment where they're like, ah, do you know what I mean? Yeah. It happens. But for me, I think it's important for kids to understand that anger is actually a normal, natural emotion. But what the important thing is to say, for me to say to Namaya, like, look, like, I'm sorry that I shouted at you. And the reason that I shouted at you was because I got frustrated. Blah, 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 blah. And I always sit her down and always talk to her and I always say sorry, because I think it's important for her to understand that, some people time to time will get angry and they will shout or whatever it is, but it's actually important to acknowledge that actually it's not really the right way to deal with it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm trying to teach Malachi. Yeah, maturity. Absolutely. I try and teach Malachi that kind of like your emotions kind of come and go, and everyone's going to feel angry and everyone's going to feel sad, but then you try and act from a place like, I actually try and teach Malachi with the analogy that like your emotions are like your clothes, and like underneath that your body is like your state of being. So it's kind of like, that's where you're always honest, like no matter how you're feeling, you can always be honest and you can always be kind. So like, even if you have to shout because you feel angry, you don't just tell lies and shout. You know what I mean? Like,
don't be mean.
Yeah, exactly. You don't be mean and you don't tell lies, no matter how you're feeling. And it's trying to like say that, but it's okay to feel those emotions.
Yeah, exactly.
And then when you do act from a place of emotion, like you get irritated or you snap or you get angry and you shout or you say something, is to like check in with what that is.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
like you say, own
like where's this coming from?
Yeah, absolutely. And like apologize, like speak to your children like just like the other adults, because they are just little adults.
Yeah,
and actually most of the time they, like you say, they're your biggest teachers. They know more than us anyway. They're closer to source.
Exactly. I totally agree with what you were saying there about speaking to them like the adults, because I've always done that with Namaya. I've never done the whole baby gagu goo gagu, because I think it's pointless. It's like you teach them bollocks and then you've got to unteach the bollocks that you've been teaching them. Do you know what I mean? Teach them proper English.
Yeah, like, definitely. Like baby words.
I think people think that kids can't understand, but the thing is, I've got memories of being a baby. I can remember being a little baby, right? And I remember being a 2-year-old, and I remember my mother and my gran. So I had an imaginary friend, right? That I still remember this day. She liked shortbread biscuits. And so I got a shortbread biscuit and I asked my mum, shortbread biscuit for Dinga, her name was Dinga. And I asked for a shortbread biscuit, and I remember me mum and me gran like laughing at us, like going, she's trying it on, she's trying. And I felt patronised. Yeah. I was 2 years old. I felt patronised and I was annoyed because I was actually being serious. It was for Dinga, right? But the point is, right, I was 2 years old and I was feeling patronised. That's like a complex emotion that you don't really associate with kids. So, like, this made me realise that actually just because kids haven't worked out how to form their tongue to make the words, to explain it, doesn't mean they don't not feeling it inside.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
like, this has been a big thing for me with Namaya. Because I speak to her like I'm speaking to you now. And people get shocked that she understands, and I'm like, of course she does. Like, you've got to empower kids. Like,
definitely.
You can't just treat them like they're imbeciles.
Like, I remember reading somewhere about that, about like complex words. Like, never make the language that you use around children like baby language.
Yeah,
exactly.
Never
because at the end of the day, like when they're at a certain age, like when they're first learning about words, all words are big words to them because they don't understand any. So why make this word that's got like 3 syllables in is like not appropriate for you? But then this one is
100%.
Yeah, definitely. And
we've got to empower kids.
Yeah, absolutely. So in terms of attachment parenting, what other things do you kind of practice in that?
Well, I do co-sleep. I still co-sleep now.
Yeah. I still co-sleep with Malachi as well.
It's funny, isn't it, co-sleeping with a toddler?
Literally.
So
like, sometimes
feet in the face.
Feet in the face. Like Malachi just put his hand over my face the other day and kind of pushed my head away, like in his sleep though. It's so cute.
And have you up against the wall, don't they?
Yeah.
They want to be near you, so it's like the edge along, like next to you. Like, I remember Namaya being a tiny little baby, right? And I'm talking like 8 weeks old, and she figured out, right, that she could move. Because I used to wake up in the morning and I'd be like, how is she diagonal? She can't even like roll over yet. And I'd be like, what? I caught her one day like using her head, like going like this with her head and then dragging her body next to my head, like to get, she did that till she got next to me. I was like, what? So I do co-sleeping, and then I did the whole sling thing as well, which was amazing because it's like,
so much easier than a pram. That's what I found. Like,
exactly. Like
lugging a pram around. Like if you go shopping or whatever. It got
me into shape as well. Like I used to bomb around. Right, I used to go shopping. Like have all my bags. Like just just like baby.
And then you can breastfeed as well.
Yeah, like
just
slightly get your boob out.
I know.
Walk around Sainsbury's like no one knows. But yes, I was doing that, and then also like just I think, do you know what it is? I think the main thing is, don't buy baby books. Just go off your instinct, right? I didn't buy any baby books when I was pregnant with Namaya. I was like, you know what? I'm not going to be influenced. Even though I didn't know anything about kids, I hadn't been around them since I was a kid. I was a bit scared because I didn't know what I was going to do, right? But it's true what to say. As soon as you have a kid, instincts kick in, right? And you just know. And one of the things that mothers do is they go against the instincts all the time, based on other people's opinions, books, and all those other shit, right? So the best thing people can do is just go what feels right. Like, the main thing people want to do is hold their babies, and I've seen it on like Facebook groups and stuff that I'm in. Like, you know, like certain relatives might say to the person, the mother, "You're holding that baby too much," or like, you know, you should put it down. No, right? When Namaya was first born, I swear to God, Gina, I didn't put Namaya down. Right? Namaya was either in my arms or someone else's. Right?
Yes.
There was an odd time where she'd be asleep, and I'd put her down when she was asleep. But if she was awake, she was in my arms.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? She was in my arms because that was what felt right.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's what they want. I mean, they've just come out of your body. Like, they've been inside your body for 9 months.
So
like, of course, they want to be close to you and not like in a room on their own.
Yes, exactly.
Crying it out. The way people say that is just, it breaks my heart, that.
No. Like, Namaya, right, until she got to 4 months, like, I think because that's when they're out of the 4th trimester, when they hit the 16th week. So then I started, I put it to bed. But before that, she was with me right round the clock. We didn't leave each other. But I remember when I first started putting her in the bed, like my bed, on her own. It was horrible. I was just like, I couldn't settle. Because it took a while, like, to realise that she's fine, she's safe.
Yeah.
But yeah, babies, like, they need that. Like, first 4 months are so critical. Not even just the first 4 months. Like, the first year really is critical. But like, the first 4 months, while the baby is in the 4th trimester, it needs its mother. It needs to be held. Like, it's so nice for that like connection to build. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the baby develops, because within the first year, right, the baby's developing its root chakra. So basically, what that means is it's security, it's grounding, all of these sorts of things, right? If a baby doesn't have a deep connection with the mother, it can make them ungrounded. It cause their root chakra to not fully develop properly.
Insecurity.
It helps the insecurity.
Well,
yeah, exactly. So when you do the attachment theory, parenting, it helps the child develop a really strong, secure connection, because the child knows it's safe. The child knows it's loved. The child knows it's got a deep connection with the mother. Do you know what I mean? So this helps to create a really confident child off the back of it. So actually, people will say, if you overmother a child, then it makes them dependent on you. And actually, it's the other way around. It creates a more independent child that knows it's loved, so it knows it's safe, and it feels free and okay enough to explore a little bit. So like, yeah, it's been really interesting. It's been like a really interesting journey, like the things that I've learned.
What was your pregnancy like and your birth? Oh, really?
I hated being pregnant.
Did you? Yeah.
It was awful.
In what way?
In every single way possible. The first trimester, horrific. Just constant sickness, hormones just like going absolutely raj. Just like, I didn't know who I was, and then like I started to show, like I got, when I was like 4 months, I looked like I was 6 months. Like, I showed really fast, yeah. So I couldn't. So by the time I was like 6 months, I couldn't even see, like, no, maybe even 5 months, I couldn't even see my feet. I put 4.5 stone on when I was pregnant. So I was 8 stone when I got pregnant. The day that I gave birth, I was 12.5 stone. But you know what? I didn't worry about my weight because I knew it was all going to fall off with the breastfeeding and stuff, so I wasn't even bothered about that. Yeah. But yeah, I put a lot of weight on. So by the time I got to the last trimester, mate, I couldn't even move off the settee. There was a dent in the settee where I'd been sat. I'm not even joking. Like, I ruined the settee, my backside. But yeah, I found it so tough. Like, I only really started, like, I think by the time I got to the 8 months mark, things started settling down. Like, the sickness stopped eventually by the
so you were sick all the way through, right?
Yeah, like just random times in the day I'd be sick. Like, I'd go and drink something, like a moringa or something, I'd be sick. And it was just like that the whole time. And
were you working through your pregnancy? I
felt like people were going to die. Like, I felt like every time Matt left the house, he was going to die. Like, he was going to get killed in a car crash. Like, just all this stuff was going on. Like, it was really tough. But then when she was born, it was like, wow. Because there was a lot of fear as well. There was so much fear. Like, I was scared about my career. Like, I was scared about how I was going to manage. Like, how I was going to, like, manage a little baby and do all these things and still maintain what I'd built. And I had a lot of fear to work through. Do you know what I mean? But when she was born, it was like, just everything worked. Everything fitted in. It was
How
amazing.
was your birth with her?
I started off at home. It was amazing. It was very, very chilled. Actually, she was born very, very fast. I mean, the whole labour from start to finish was just 16 hours.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, like I was working right up until so I was doing a lot of, so I had my own radio show at the time, which I let go of because it was just too much work. But I was doing interviews the night before I went into labour. No, I went in, so I did my last interview, and then in the night I went into labour. So it was like, it was weird because I woke up at like 9 in the morning, and I was like, and then I was like, every 5 minutes, definitely contraction. So I was like, well, I could go on like this for days, but yeah, just 16 and a half hours after that point, she was here.
Right.
She was born at 6 minutes past 1, and I just remember coming out and just being like so wrinkled and little, and being like, I still felt really surreal. It's surreal, isn't it? I'm like, whoa, like I've got this human now. Shit.
I'm responsible for keeping this human alive. Yeah.
God, it was the best thing ever, man. But the birth was all right. I mean, I didn't have any pain relief. I had a bit of gas on air on the crowning because, ouch. I was like, my bits and bobs are never going to be the same again.
The things you go through as a woman.
I know, innit? But honestly, it was an experience and a half.
Yeah. And then how did you find your sort of postnatal period? Just feeling like, emotionally, how did you feel? Physically, how did you feel?
I was so tired, I thought I was going to die. I was literally, because like I used to be a hardcore partier, right? And I used to remember saying, I said this a few times during party, I used to be like, yeah, like if I ever have a kid, like it'll be easy because I can do loads of days partying and it'll be fine. So I thought that was me, like, you know, but no, nothing ever prepares you for it. Yeah. Nothing prepares you for them first 6 weeks.
Yeah.
The first 2 weeks especially, like that's what caved me into the co-sleeping, actually, because I wasn't going to do it. I was scared I was going to suffocate it, all these years. But actually it's safe if you know you're going to co-sleep. It's only when you fall in bed when you're not supposed to be co-sleep is when women get tired and they bring the baby into the bed and then exactly. So there's a safe ways, right, that eliminates the risks. So but eventually I caved after 2 weeks. I was like, I can't go on like this. Every time I put her down, 20 minutes later, she'd be awake. She wanted to be on me, and she'd only sleep on my chest. So that was tough, like dealing with the lack of sleep. I remember crying a few times because I was so tired. I couldn't cope with it. It was just like insane.
Were you and Matt still together at that point?
We didn't split up until she was 1. So, but it was hard going, because the thing is, the reality of it is, even if you've got a partner who wants to do everything they can't help, they can't breastfeed the baby. So you are just going through it, really. You've got to go through this whole process of, because the first 6 weeks are tough, because your body's trying to work out how much milk the baby needs. The baby's just going through it with the milk, but then it gets easier, and then it becomes the most easiest thing to breastfeed. But it is hard the first few weeks, I'm not gonna lie. I did find it tough, but I don't have any regrets about any of it. Like, I would not have changed, I wouldn't have made a different decision. But that the first bit was tough.
Yeah, I think a lot of people say that. For me, I lost a lot of blood because I hemorrhaged as I gave birth. I gave birth at home. I gave birth at my mum's house, and then I hemorrhaged when that happened. And so it took me along, and I had quite a lot of complications during the birth, like the placenta didn't come out and stuff.
Did you have to go to hospital to get all that sorted?
No, they just did like a manual removal at home.
Oh gosh, the things we go through.
Which is a great experience. And to be honest, that was the hardest. That was the hardest bit, really. But again, I wouldn't change a thing. It was amazing. It was such an amazing experience to give birth at home. Like, I would recommend it to anybody, because it was just, I could get in bed afterwards and cuddle up to him, and it was great. And and regardless of what complications, I was just stayed true to what my beliefs were, and we both did. With Ants, like Malachi's dad was amazing at that point as well. Like, we both made those decisions together. And so because I was at home, I I was at my parents' house, and so my mum was helping out a lot, and so Anth was there, he was doing a lot. My mum was there for the first few days. I couldn't get out of bed, even a week or so I couldn't get out of bed, and that was really hard. Like, that was really hard. Just trying to, because obviously battling the sort of tiredness of him breastfeeding constantly and wanting to be on me, but then obviously trying to rebuild like the blood that I'd lost and rebuild my energy. And to be honest, did you eat your placenta?
No, because I'm just aware of all the toxins that could be there,
right,
so that put me off a little bit. Did you go for it?
Yeah, I ate it. Yeah,
Did you?
I had a smoothie. Yeah, so my mum cut it up into like sort of like ice cube sized pieces and put it in the freezer, and then I'd have like 2 smoothies a day with 2 pieces of it in. And to be, you couldn't taste it.
Really?
Yeah, literally couldn't taste it. And to be honest with you, I felt the life coming back into me when I was drinking it. Yeah, absolutely. Again, I would recommend that to anybody. I literally felt like I was drinking this elixir of life. Like it was like replenishing my energy. So it was great with that. But yeah, I mean, it was hard with the tiredness. The breastfeeding I never had a problem with. He just used to feed a lot.
Yeah,
so
yeah, like
on me
long
constantly.
feeds, like constantly
all the time. It felt like it was constant.
Yeah, it's beautiful though, isn't it?
It is beautiful.
It's only hard I only found it hard in the night when I wanted to like go to sleep, and then there was like, you were just dozing off.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
And then it was like,
so I mean, it was hard in ways, but I did have a lot of support around me. And then we moved to Ibiza when he was like 5 weeks, I think, and I was like touch and go because I was a bit like, I'm still feeling really weak and maybe I need to be around my mum. But then we moved to Ibiza, and that was actually really good because then we had a bit of winter sun, and it was good. So we were there over
change
the winter.
Scenery as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So it was great. But yeah, I mean, I think it's just so many challenges when you first have a baby, just because it's just this completely new thing, isn't it? Yes. And it's like, okay, now I have to keep this child alive,
and the dynamics of your relationship change as well.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah,
there's a lot of change. There's something else actually that I want to talk about quickly. Because I think that every parent should know about this, because it was so life-changing for me, right, having a newborn and knowing this information. So right before I gave birth, I think I was about 36 weeks pregnant, I found out about this woman called Patricia Dunstall. This woman, she was doing an interview with Oprah about the fact that she's discovered that all newborn babies up until the age of 3 months have 5 sounds that they make, regardless of culture, regardless of what country they're from. They all make the same 5 noises, right? So this woman's got a photographic memory for sound, so she realised she could hear all the babies doing the same noises. So she broke them down, and I learned them, right? So when the baby's hungry, right, because of its tongue going on so they do this thing, babies apparently, when they're hungry, right, when they're newborns, where their tongue goes on the roof of the mouth, and as they're doing it, it makes the sound ne.
Oh, right.
So what these sounds are the pre-cry noises.
Right,
so if you learn the noises and you learn what they're for, you hear the babies making these noises, so you know what they want before they even start crying, and then it takes out the whole guessing game thing. So it's amazing, right? It completely changed things. I'll never forget, right, when the Maya was born, about 20 minutes later, she went, "Net," and me and Matt just looked at each other and went, "She's hungry," right? With you. So it was amazing, right? And people were amazed at it. But it's so good, right? Patricia Dunstall.
I'll write that. I can put that in the notes.
Yeah, honestly, you've got to watch it. And she's got a course online as well, and I really recommend it. Like, I did it. I did the course. And it was the best thing that I did, because it meant that Namaya didn't have to cry. Like, I just knew what she wanted every single time before she cried. She went through about 2 weeks, she never cried. For the first 2 weeks. No one could believe it. I couldn't believe it. It was amazing. Absolutely amazing. So yeah, I want to tell people about that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I can put that in the notes when I put it up. Did you do sign-in with Namaya?
Yes, I did. Yeah, so me and Namaya have always been able to communicate. So after the noises, the baby noises that they make, when she was about 6 months old, no, before that, about five and a half months old, I started teaching her sign language, and within 2 weeks she'd done her first sign. Yeah, it's so cute. Yeah, it's so lovely. And did you do it with Malachi? It's amazing, isn't it? It's so amazing.
He used to look out the window and go, "Plane."
Oh, did he?
Birds.
It's so cute. Yeah, it's so cute.
And it really, I think it really helps the language. I mean, because my background's in speech and language therapy. therapy. So I'd already done that. Yeah, that's what my degree's in.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so I did all like Makaton signing when I was at uni.
Oh, amazing!
And so then I'd always said since I did that in my degree that whenever I have kids I'm going to do that, and I did, and it made such a difference because he never went through that whole frustration
thing. Yeah, because
like the terrible twos, because he like got frustrated, and because he has, like you say, he's got that way of communicating. Like it was amazing. Like it really worked for him. And then and I found that the words that he used to sign, they were the first words that he said.
Yeah, definitely. Same.
It works, doesn't it?
It's amazing, absolutely amazing. And the thing is, you don't have to go to an expensive class. I just bought a sing and sign DVD, 10 quid from Amazon.
I bought a book actually just to refresh
it was brilliant. I used to sit there with Namaya like on my knee, and there would be all these songs with the signs that would tell you the words. It was amazing.
Yeah,
it was
definitely,
absolutely amazing. I think it's it's hard. Like trying to learn a baby is hard, right? Trying to learn us is hard. There's a lot going on. Right? It's new territory for everyone, and it can be a frustrating time. Like trying to guess what a baby wants must be an absolute headache.
Yeah,
it must be even worse for the baby. Imagine not being able to communicate what you want, and the people that are like with you aren't getting it either.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like there is ways to learn this communication, this beautiful language that newborn babies have that people don't even realise.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean?
Yeah, I know, it's amazing,
so good.
Isn't it?
And it creates, like you say, a lot less frustrated child. Like I find Maya does have strops now. She didn't have a terrible 2. She's going through a bit of a phase at the minute where she's having a terrible 3, if you like. She's just testing the boundaries and things like that. But when she was before that, I mean, she was chilled. There was no frustrating, and I honestly do believe it's to do with the fact that she's just learned how to communicate.
Yeah, definitely. And then how have you found, like, since you've been separated from her dad, how have you found doing that, and like what challenges have you faced with that in terms of like your work and stuff like that? Because I know that could be an issue for people.
Well, it was hard, and there was a bit of trying to find my feet with my routine. So actually I found it a lot easier to be a single mother. I know a lot of people don't say that, but I'm going to admit to that now. I found it easier being a single mother because I can set my own routine that doesn't get disrupted. So it's like the baby doesn't get woken up by noisy man or anything like that, and also like I do get time to myself as well now. So but initially it was hard because I had to like try and juggle doing work on gathering of minds with a baby wanting attention. So then I realised I had to get a childminder. So basically that's what I do now. I have a childminder. So she went like 1 day a week, and then I upped it to 2 days, and now she goes like 4.5 days a week. And it's been amazing for her because then I do my work. She's playing with her friends. There's like 4 or 5 kids there, all different ages. Yeah. And she's got friends, man. Do you know what I mean? It's lovely. So it means that I'm not getting stressed trying to get everything done. I know that these are my work times, and so it's all good. Do you know what I mean? Like I find it much easier being on my own.
Yeah.
Than being in a
I've heard a lot of people say that actually. I shouldn't really say that, but
the thing is, right, I swear, the funny thing is, I've just had this massive realisation, right? When I was younger, I was scared of having a kid because I thought I was scared of ending up being a single mother. So the whole time I was pregnant, like obviously me and Matt were going through challenges, right? And I was like, I don't want to be a single mother because it's going to be horrific, and single mothers are skint, single mothers are stressed, single mothers have no time, they don't get to do anything, and and it's just hard for them. This opinion I had of being a single mother. So then like the universe has a funny way of putting you into situations that you have fears of because you get the chance to overcome it there. Yeah. So here I am. I'm a single mother and I'm loving it.
Yeah.
I'm absolutely loving it. Yeah. Like. Yeah, it's good. Yeah. It's good. So if there's anybody out there fearing being a single mother, don't fear it, man. Embrace it. Definitely. Embrace it.
Absolutely.
It's good. It's good. It's good.
And then, so in terms of work and stuff now that you do, what's kind of like your main focus is work-wise, and obviously Gather of Minds, and what direction do you want to take that?
So I have gone down a bit of a shamanic route. So I have a shamanic shop where I sell like all different kinds of stuff. And also I'm studying the Native American medicine wheel, which is amazing. It's going to be for the next 4 to 10 years.
Oh, wow.
It's long.
So what is that?
Right, so it's a wheel of healing, but it's like you... Right, so this is what I love about shamanism, because it's like you know, to go and do Reiki, you're learning the technique, right? But you're not working on yourself. Do you know what I mean? With shamanism, you are understanding that, like, you work on yourself, and your things that you've overcome become the things that you use to help people heal. So the medicine wheel. So I'm in serpent, right? So the wheel is split into 4 sections. So I'm in serpent at the minute, jaguar, hummingbird, and then it's eagle, right? So the 4 archetypes represent things. So serpent is all about releasing. It's all about letting go. It's all about getting rid of what's not serving you. So at the minute, right, I've had a lot of things coming up in the last, since I've embarked on this journey, where I've had to let things go, you know what I mean? So it's all about that. And then Jaguar was all about facing fears. And Hummingbird's all about seeing the magic and joy in absolute horrificness. So it's like when you've got sheer tragedy, like, enveloping you, where's the magic and joy?
Right.
So that's that. And then the eagle's all about freedom and stuff like that. So so you're working with these things, but at the same time you're learning healing techniques. So I've learned so many different ones, right? So many different things on the medicine wheel. I'm about to learn the illumination healing technique, which I'm really excited about. So the next meetup that we go to is for a weekend in April. So we go off into the countryside for a weekend, and we learn more. We go in deeper and we go in deeper. It's been absolutely transformational. So alongside all the interest that I've had in doing my personal development, to be the best mother that I can be, the best person that I can be, and just to evolve, the medicine wheel has helped me transform so much. Like, it has been an absolute godsend. Like, it literally coming on at the right moment. I wanted to learn something. I wanted to develop skills and things like that, but I didn't really know what. And then I discovered the medicine wheel. So it's deep. Like, you learn about how to remove entities from people, or attachments, clear spaces. You learn about crystals. You learn about just all sorts of stuff. But
and who are you learning from? From shaman?
Two shaman, yeah.
Right, yeah.
To shaman. I've been working with them for over a year now, since not October gone, the one before. So that's how long I've been on it. So but it's been absolutely life-changing, like, just healing wounds, like, because when you're in serpent, you have to have, like, so you've got a mesa cloth, right, and you have to have, like, 5 stones in your mesa cloth. That's my mesa cloth there.
Right.
And in there are wounds that you have. So this is you acknowledging that you've got this bullshit story, or, like, this wound from many, many years ago, and it's like stopping you from moving forward. So you're like, right, I'm going to work on this. I'm going to work on this wound. I'm going to work on this wound. So I've got 5 wounds in there, and I swear to God, right, like, they all just hit. Like, I stepped. So that weekend, the first weekend that we made it and stuff, I stepped out of the weekend to go home, and bosh, I'd even got, like, 10 minutes down the road, and the first thing come up. So there's a lot of stuff coming up for me at the minute. I'm facing a lot of wounds that I've got. Do you know what I mean? But it's beautiful. It's like I'm seeing things differently. I'm seeing things from a whole new perspective. It's the teachings that we learn on the medicine wheel. Like, you learn about, like, how everything is all about you. Like, when somebody pisses you off, they haven't pissed you off. You've been triggered. One of your old wounds have been triggered. So this is the thing, right? So now, when I get triggered, I realise it's not somebody being an arsehole. It's something that's in me that it triggered an old wound. So I'm working like this now. I'm working like, right, like, I can see that everyone is a mirror. Like, I've really grasped that teaching now. Do you know what I mean? I'm really living it. So now, when somebody winds up, this comes into play with Matt as well, because we still have our little moments. Do you know what I mean? Even though we're not together, like, we're still in each other's lives. We've got a child together. Is we've had to navigate around a lot of stuff. But now I'm like, oh, he's triggered me. I don't look at it like he's
you're
pissed
not
me off.
blaming him.
It's not him who's pissed me off. He's done us a favour. Do you know what I mean? He's done me a favour. He's just highlighted something. So this is the medicine wheel. It's just been,
that sounds awesome,
so amazing. Like, it's completely transformed me.
Wow.
Completely.
So you're going to be working with people to help them go through that, to help them heal.
So at the minute, we've learned, like, a black and white stone healing technique. So I've got to do case studies. So when I come back off the next one, I'll have to do case studies with the illumination healing technique. So if you want to heal it.
Definitely.
So, but yeah, it's just amazing. Like, I'm just loving it. I'm loving it.
So you're doing that, and then the Gathering of Minds, just keep expanding that.
Yeah. So yeah, just planning that now to just be 1 year maybe. But I'm thinking about bringing a team in. rather than just doing it once a year. Maybe see if I can bring a team in, similar to what Ant does, with Rise and Shine, and just seeing actually if I can make it less stressful for myself, and then maybe do it more than once a year.
Right.
So this is what I'm thinking with that now. So yeah, we'll see what happens there, man.
Sounds exciting.
Yes. Fingers in a lot of pies.
Yeah.
But it's good. It's all good. I feel like I'm managing it everything a bit more now, and me and Matt are about to start co-parenting, so this is going to help as well. So yeah, a lot of changes, but all good.
Amazing, sounds so good. So kind of just to sort of finish off, to wrap it up, I've sort of on the other podcast been asking people like what advice they would give somebody who's listening to this, and like so sort of where you were, maybe like advice you give to your younger self essentially, and the things that you've learned from just navigating the world as a woman and stepping into your power. Like, what pieces of advice would you give?
What pieces of advice would I give? Just that, like, just pay attention to what's coming up for you, because there's so much knowledge and so much teachings and things that come up for you, things that wind you up, things that people that pay you off. Just look to see where it's stemming from, look to what the cause is. For me, like, one of the most beautiful things that you can do for yourself is self-inquiry. Within self-inquiry, there's a lot of answers in there, do you know what I mean? Rather than just, because I used to be a blame, I was in victim mode, you know what I mean? All this shit, like, I wanted it to be everyone else's fault. I didn't want it to be my fault or anything like that, but actually everything really does start and end with you. So when stuff comes up, just look to see what the deeper thing is behind it, look to see what the deeper trigger is, what the actual root is. Often you'll find that a lot of things stem from childhood, they'll stem from teenage years, they'll stem from family, things that are being passed down, belief systems and stuff. So yeah, just pay attention to your thoughts, pay attention to what your feelings are, what's coming up. Basically, that's my that's only because that's this big thing that's really helped me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. Fab. Yeah. And if anybody wants to get in touch with you or wants to come to your events, how can they find you?
Well, you can find me via the Gathering of Minds website, via the Gathering of Minds Facebook page, or they can find me on my actual Facebook. But if you can't, I don't know. There's a lot of Jessica Lewis's.
I'll put all the links to it and everything on as well.
There's a lot of Jessica Lewis's. But I'm around. I'm on Instagram. I am Jessie with an E _.
I can put all the links on anyway, so people will be able to find you.
Lovely. That was brilliant.
So much fun. Thank you so much for being on the podcast, and it was amazing to chat to you and hear your journey, because I've never done that before. So
lovely to chat, man.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Gina.
So that was Jess, and I'm so grateful to have been on the podcast, and as always, I'm grateful to anybody who's been listening. I'm just really loving so far doing these podcasts, because it just means I get to speak to so many amazing women and guys as well. I've interviewed a guy this week, and so he's going to be the first one on the podcast. So it's not just limited to women, but I'm just loving it because it really gives you an insight into people's lives. I think so often we just get caught up in what we're doing, and you just don't know what somebody else is going through, and you don't know what they've been through and what their journeys led them to, and how they're handling the things that they have in their life, because everybody has ups and downs, and if even someone's life looks perfect on social media, then everyone's got things to deal with, and it's all relative for them. So it's just nice to be able to listen to how other people do that, and what's worked for them and what hasn't worked for them. So yeah, I'm really grateful to everybody who's been on the podcast so far, and all the people I've got coming up, and to everybody for listening. So if you do like it, then please do subscribe and share and all of that, because it helps. So if you want to get in touch with me, I am on Instagram at This Is Womanhood, and also at Gina _Torres, and I'll put Jess's information in the notes as well if you want to get in contact with her or attend her events that she runs in London and things like that. So hope you enjoyed. I hope you got a lot from this podcast, and I will see you on the next one.